What's up, guys? We're out at the farm at Seth's place. If you guys have seen the channel, I've had Seth on the channel, and we are building a course out here at his property out on the farm. So we're going to give you a little bit of a kind of a tour of his place, what we're doing, kind of the design ideas that we got. And I think we're going to start, this is going to be episode 1 of a series, and it's going to be kind of a long spread out series of us kind of getting the entire course put in. But I think it's going to be a fun one. Let's jump right into it. Grabbed the water today.
Heck yeah, man.
Alright, so we're out here on hole 1 with Seth, course owner, designer, the guy that came up with the idea.
Co-designer.
Kind of have him maybe just talk through some of his ideas on the course and everything. When did you think you wanted to build this property into a disc golf
Yeah, man.
course?
I mean, honestly, we got here about 5 years ago, back in 2020, and the property was really, really nice, and that was kind of like the dream, but it was also kind of like a lot of work. And we weren't really sure that that was something I really wanted to work on, but about a year ago, thought we don't have enough disc golf courses in the area, and with the potential of disc golf courses shutting down or not being cared for, was like, you know, maybe this dream is actually more something I should start working towards. And so probably about a year ago, I thought, okay, let's start looking at what this actually looks like to turn this into a course.
Yeah. How many acres are here in the woods and over by the pond where...
Yeah, so the property itself is a total of 40 acres. The woods probably makes up about 17 acres of the total property that we're using. And then if you include the pond portion of it, I'd say the course itself probably sits on about 20 total acres of land.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be legit. I think the first time I came out here, I was kind of like, I don't know if there's quite enough, but I didn't realize how far the woods go and the pond and everything. So we'll just kind of talk you through hole 1. Probably later on, maybe once some of these lines are a little bit more cleaned out and for sure, then we can kind of play through, show you some of the holes. We're standing kind of right where hole 1 is. I think this is kind of Seth's little design. Some of them we've talked back and forth. Obviously, nothing is set for sure. But as everything really just started, I guess we can find, but it was just like super thick woods. And so we can kind of show you what it looked like. And Seth really just started going to town for the first few months. And now I've been out here trying to help him. But really tight off the tee here. Hole 1, I think, says on U-disc. We have kind of like a rough U-disc layout. I think is like 320.
Yeah. No.
But kind of tell them what your thought here is, what you think the shot shape is and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Basically, I started off with just like untouched woods, all the underbrush. Honestly, just started clearing and just seeing where I could get to. And then as I was clearing, I was like, well, I kind of want to play a little bit of disc golf in the woods too. And this was kind of where I started. So I just started throwing discs here. And this kind of quote unquote made sense to me. It was the largest area that had no trees. And I thought, well, let's just try and throw a disc from here to there. And then I kind of watched where my shots were landing and if I could hit a line where, you know, what was happening. And honestly, right here is initial gap is about 8 or 10 feet. So that's kind of fun to have to hit an initial gap, and then it opens up in the fairway so you have some room to move. And then it kind of closes off into a gap as you approach the green. So it was just kind of a fun one to start off with, probably a little tougher than it needs to be off the go. But you can always make it easier by removing stuff later.
Comment down below if you like a course that starts off really hard and you just get right into the gauntlet of the course, or do you like kind of easing into the course, nice little easy birdie to start? Because this is definitely not. Seth's played it a handful of times. He can get putters, mids, and fairways all the way there. A few times I've played it, I haven't quite figured it out, but I think it is a really good hole where it's kind of forces a like flex backhand shot if you want to get it parked. Or you just throw a really good mid-range to fairway that just kind of drifts to the right and gives you like a circle's edge putt. But I really like the uniqueness of the hole. Kind of, we're trying to use as much of the undulation of the course. There's not a lot of hills and everything, but I think this is a really good starting hole. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and kind of take you down hole 1's fairway. I'll let Seth kind of show you the fairway, talk some. But basically, you're hitting this gap right here off the tee. Makes for right out of the gate. You're thinking about the trees, you're thinking about the woods. And but then it opens up, so it's not, I mean, as long as you hit this gap, which Granted, I've only hit the gap probably 5 out of 10 times.
It's first throw of the day.
But as a first throw of the day, it definitely gets you. But I kind of like jumping in and just having a hard hole kind of right off the bat. You don't get to kind of like ease your way into the course.
Right. Well, one of the things about the course that I really like is I love woods golf. It's no shock to people who know me. I do not throw particularly hard. So shorter shots that are more technical is kind of my style. However, we don't really have a course in our area that has woods that doesn't have extremely like punishing and unkept rough. So one of the goals for this course was to make it woods, make you have to hit lines, force you to do certain shot shapes, but give you options in other areas. But the big thing for me is when you get off the fairway, I really want you to be able to get creative and scramble. So this is the fairway that I'm standing on. And if you look over here, about 30, 40 feet, you would be off the fairway, but you can still see that it's been cleaned up. It's not a lot of underbrush. If you land over there off the fairway, it's gonna be much harder to get to the basket because you're gonna have some smaller trees in your way, but it's still doable and you can get creative and have fun playing disc golf, throwing shots you just don't normally see. So that was one of the big goals for the entire course, and I think hole 1 does a really good job of portraying that right out of the gate. Some of the courses that I really like are like New London, the old WR Jackson. This isn't gonna be nearly as long as those courses, but I really like there where you get off the fairway. You know you're off, but there's still some that creative shot shape that happens after the fact.
Yeah. Seth's got a huge long-term goal in mind, but basically you can look back all the way back to the tee pad is up there by those stumps. So you're going to want to throw a force flex shot that comes through here and then pans back, I think is the way to park it. But if you throw like a good mid-range that fades out, you're going to be in here somewhere in C2.
Yeah, backhand Gorgon, I think. Depends on if I pull it or not.
Get sneaky. Oh,
I was a little bit right.
this one's a Buzz SS. It's a little stable. First shots of the day, specifically when they're on this hole, have never been good. So I like this right line through all the trees that somehow gets to like 90 feet.
Hey, hits it. Let's
Oh,
freaking go. Cures it.
Skip up there?
Skips. Dude, you're like
Circle's
15
edge?
feet.
Okay, let's
You're
go.
like 15 feet, I think.
See,
Oh, see, it is Ryland's line. You can go
I
through
get
it, no
through
problem.
there. I don't know what it is, but that's just my line.
That's pretty solid. Give me putt. Oh, nasty trees. So he wants to whine about Lunas. All right, so here's my par save after that terrible tree kick. But, you know, hashtag woods golf.
I just wanted to birdie it to say I've birdied it.
Unbelievable. Banded.
All right, hole 2 is going to be a little bit easier. So we're going to start kind of with a hard hole. Obviously, all this can change, and so kind of based on how everything goes. Like I said earlier, we do have like a layout that we've walked the property, and we think 18 holes will fit where we want them. But obviously, things can change. But this is going to be probably hole 2. This is going to be like maybe a forehand hole. But after we've played it a few times, it kind of plays more for a backhand turnover. So it's going to be a shorter, I think this one's like what, 215?
250.
250?
I think it's from back here. 250.
Okay.
From up there, it's like 230.
So obviously T-pad's somewhere in here, still yet to be decided. But kind of where you can see the white flags up there, it's going to be up on the right. And you can get a forehand there. Seth actually forehand skip aced this like a week ago or something.
Yeah, it wasn't
but
long ago.
then Randy and Seth and I were out here the other day and we played it, and I think it plays for a really good backhand putter turnover. So you kind of get a little bit of ease into the second hole, but there's some guardians up there that can definitely break that from being an easy hole. So
Honestly, I came over here because we're like 60 or 70 feet away from that hole. And when I was clearing, again, I was kind of clearing that area. So it was like, this is where I'm at. This is where I'll just start my next tee pad. And I kind of wanted to make like a little 3-hole loop so I could play 3 holes back to back to back if I wanted to while I was clearing. So it's just like, all right, we'll just come here a few feet away and kind of throw back that general direction. And again, like I found the big trees and I found ways between them and cut down the small stuff. And it kind of worked out because this one ended up being a forehand, whereas hole 1 was a backhand, and I really like being able to mix forehand and backhand, make you use all of your shots. But as Ryan was actually saying, as we're playing it, if you have the backhand, and I don't really have it, this makes for a really, really, really good backhand turnover. The shot shapes up for it. The forehand's pretty easy on it, but it doesn't really get you like that ace or under the basket. It gets you like 30 feet short or so. But it's kind of nice. You have a hard par 3 to start, and then an easier par 3 as your second. Backhand, forehand, mixing it up throughout the round.
I spent a lot of time today just thinking of like what are unique things on people's courses that we've gone to. Like Seth's traveled and done a ton of like destination courses, but I've done a lot. Used to live in Oregon, so I've seen a lot of like really pretty courses in Milo area and stuff, and it's like, what can we take from some of those courses out here that makes just fun, unique holes?
Yes.
Obviously, everyone loves a good elevated basket and stuff. I think we'll have one of those here. But like, what are some unique things that you can add some spice and flavor to your course?
Right, whether it be, I'm not a huge fan of Mandos personally, so I don't necessarily like forcing people to go a direction because, again, I like the creativity. I kind of said that earlier. I think
what this hole needs is a double Mando right off this gap. Just to make sure that you go through the fairway because you're not trying to go through the woods.
Because you're not trying to cut through the woods. I mean, the perfect example. Put a Mando on the big tree and put a Mando on this pine. Like, what are you really gaining? Like, who's aiming to the right or the left of this? I'm kind of in the mindset where it's the designer's responsibility to create the shot shape. And if somebody can find a loophole, AKA Randy trying to go up and over on hole 6, if you can find that loophole, then you know what? That's your game. All right, you've broke the hole, you figured it out. And as the designer, it's up to me to either figure out if I want to redesign the hole or say, hey, you know what? If you have that shot in your arsenal, then by all means do it.
And then here's kind of the green. Here's some of the these trees right here we were talking about. Maybe taking out, maybe moving the basket. We will keep the marksman. No, that would be hilarious. Put a marksman on one of
the only ace runs on the whole course, and you have a marksman on it.
That would be hilarious. That would be memorable though.
Jeez.
But no, so maybe add in an island, something to flare this up. Maybe hang between some of these trees. Who knows?
That's a good idea. I like the hanging one on this one. Get the trees to do it on.
Simple yet has some teeth to it if you are slightly off. So.
Well, I figured out how to bogey it a couple times.
Yeah, there you go. You also figured out how to ace it. So.
Yeah, frick yeah.
That's money.
Get in. Oh, just short.
Right under the basket.
Yeah, just short. That's kind of what the last one looked like when it aced.
What was it with?
Firebird.
That one?
Yeah.
Big Z Luna. Didn't give it the height.
Oh, nasty tree.
And that's that Guardian there.
Yeah, that was about to be
I don't
like
hate.
25.
I was slightly off my line.
You are the marksman. Get it.
Oh. Got it.
Oh.
Bang.
Yeah. Second guy is so good.
Come on. Okay, so hole 3 is going to be the first par 4 on the course. We thought a lot about this hole, and I think I'm really going to like it. I think once it gets finished, it's obviously still in the very building phase, as a lot of these holes are. But I think I really love the idea of it. And so really, we were originally talking about moving the tee pad a little bit further back, like 40 feet. But then it really brings a narrow gap into play. After you guys kind of see the shot shape, I think you guys will agree. But we're thinking about basically teeing off from right up here. These trees aren't really in play to hit them. Shouldn't really think about it. But we're trying to create, it's a left to right dog leg. So it's about a 90-degree shot to the basket. It's only maybe 500 feet.
Yeah, I think it's like 480 total.
So it's pretty short, but it's going to be very technical to get the birdie. So basically what we wanted to create was something that rewards a great tee shot, gives you an easy birdie look, or an easy-ish birdie look. And if you take kind of the safe line off the tee, then you're going to have a harder up and down to get the birdie, but par should still be in play. So basically with that, you can kind of see where the ATV is up there. And right at the kind of the crest of the hill, just slightly to the right, is kind of where your soft landing zone is going to be. So the easy shot here is just to go forehand and let it just kind of fade to the right a little bit. And if you do that, you're going to have a football fairway where you're going to be off to the right of the fairway, and the right fairway is going to be a little bit more cut off, a little bit more narrow line that you have to hit, and you have to hit a particular line. So if you're slightly off on your first shot, you're going to have a really tough time getting up and down. There's kind of some poke and hope gaps that you can hit, but the ideal line, what is going to be for the easiest way to get the birdie, is basically go backhand turnover. That's going to push and kind of fade out a little bit to the left once you get around the corner. And then from there, you'll have the left side of the football fairway, and it's going to be wider and a little bit more open. So we've talked a lot about this. Randy and I both kind of disagreed a little bit, but he's more of the backhand dominant guy, and he made this hole look pretty simple from the backhand line, and I'm not necessarily. So I don't know. I think it's one we'll just kind of play with and maybe take out a few trees here and there if needed, but
I mean, originally, so I like this hole the most probably so far, especially of the first two, just because this was the first hole where it was actually designed as a hole. The first two were kind of like, I want to throw a disc, and these kind of make sense. Whereas this one was the first time I stood here and like, I see what I want it to become and I want to create it. It actually started off as what I would consider another par 3 forehand, which is where you would land with the forehand up here would have been where the basket was, but that's kind of repetitive to hole 2. So I decided, let's go ahead and put in our first par 4. Let's push the basket location back, and let's make this a 2-shot hole where you have to execute twice. And what I love about that is your decision off the tee is I can go forehand or backhand. One is quite a bit safer. You're probably not going to end up in the junk if you go forehand, but if you do decide to do that and you don't push it far, then you are going to have a very, very tough approach into the green to set yourself up for the birdie. If you can go backhand, if you want to go backhand, that's definitely a more aggressive line. You bring a lot more danger in off of the tee, but you're very much rewarded after that. And so after talking to Rylan, we decided that that's the direction we wanted to go. We were going to clear out quite a few trees in this initial fairway. And then Randy came out here and put like 10 out of 10 discs in the perfect landing zone as a backhand. So
it's not that easy.
So I don't know, man, but we decided to leave it for now. You can always take the trees out later. And so that's kind of where we're like, all right, this is where we want to go. And as we walk up here, you'll see where the football is and kind of the design.
Basically, the main thing was create a hard, aggressive shot off the tee. And if you can get that, then you're going to be rewarded with an easy approach.
Right. Again,
and if you want to bail out off the tee and just take the safe play, you can still birdie, but it's going to be harder. So you play safe off the tee, harder up shot, and I think I like it. It gives you so many options.
Back to the same theme of woods golf and what I love and kind of all we said so far, decisions, right? At every point, you got to make a decision. What do I want to do? How do I want to approach this next shot? And this one, it's a decision right off the tee. Forehand, backhand, aggressive, more of a layup, and knowing that your next shot is then going to make a second decision. So kind of, again, that same theme will just kind of keep repeating itself throughout the course. How do I want to approach the holes? Do I want to walk out of here even at the end of the day, or do I want to try and go after it and get out of here with a low number? Because, you know, that's woods golf. You can do either pretty easily.
What we're looking at is tee box is going to be right up there. You're going to be throwing in. You can throw out this wide gap, or you can throw inside of these trees on the inside line. I think typically if you're going on this inside line, your forehand is going to be landing somewhere up in here, kind of where Seth's at, or off on this right-hand side. Up in here gets really cruddy really quickly. So you're going to have nothing if you're a little bit too pinched. But if you can get to where Seth's at, you're going to be in an ideal spot.
And that's going to be ideal for this right side, more difficult part of the football to get around. If you can land here with what I would call a Firebird type shot, where it's kind of straight and kind of comes over and fades in this area, now you've got, okay, I've got the shot down, and now I've got, I would say, probably about 180 feet into the pin, but your fairway gets real tiny, real quick, and it kind of fades around to the left really fast. So you're throwing like a forehand on Annie to get around it, or a backhand on some, you know, really massive hyzer to just sweep to the left. And so a circle one's putt from there is about as good as you're gonna get from landing in this spot.
What, 60, 70 feet left of where you were is going to be about the ideal landing zone for the backhand. So you can kind of look back at it. There's still this inside line, or you can take the outside sweeping Anheuser line. You're hoping to get not here, because that is basically you're just poking hope through the middle, but you're hoping to kind of fade out a little bit to the left. And if you get out here, you're going to be rewarded with something that's going to be a lot easier to get up and down.
This is going to be the area we're working on today, mainly just because we want to make sure that this is a very gettable spot. If you decided to go aggressive with the backhand, and if you ended up landing it in the spot you were aiming for, you want to get rewarded. I want you to be able to have, I mean, more or less like a standard zone forehand, or maybe a putter straight with a little bit of turn, right up a wide open gap, and just park it under the basket and tap it in for an easy bird. You did the work off the tee. So today we're going to be probably pulling out some trees here to make sure that this particular area is what we want it to be. I don't want to have somebody work to get here and have a difficult shot to get in, or be punished if they did the work off the tee.
I like it. Let's get some work done.
Ooh, push it now. Push it now.
Okay, that'll
be interesting.
Just fine, I think.
Right. I'm going to try and land in the ideal landing zone with the forehand.
And that's
the risk you take right there.
That's going to be fun there.
Like an inch.
So.
Dang. See, that was going to the back wall.
Right.
And then it got
the more I'm playing it, the backhand is getting me in a better spot every time.
But no, but you got to look. Like that one right there, both the Boss and that one are both going up the right side of the fairway now. The only reason I'm getting into trouble is because I'm trying to push it on a forehand to the back. And that's not the shot shape you're supposed to be going for. That could be good.
It's not going to be stable enough, maybe. Huh?
That looked great. I haven't tried a flex on this one yet.
Wasn't really trying to flex it, but it
was great.
That might work out.
I think that's good.
So it's just too wide.
A little bit, but not bad.
That worked
You're
out.
C1.
That worked out. Oh, that worked.
See, the problem with that shot is that was a really good reaction.
That was just